So this is me returning to a female figure, that I had come up with a little while ago, starting with the angle of the face, and then slowly filling out that awesome angle that she's kind of leaning. Something was going on with her toe and her right hand. Maybe she hurt her foot. I'm really not sure. But then I started a really messy color process here, which I like that it was messy. I think I got a little OCD again, unfortunately. Couldn't let it go that it was that messy, so I started cleaning it up. But this is an alternative to using the lasso tool or some other selection tool and then filling it. But this is how we started. I started with all the skin tones where the skin would normally be, filling up all those areas. Then moving on to the other sections. I went back and forth about how I wanted this hair to look. I did want it to look solid and filled in, so I ended up filling it in really solidly after I had done some sketchy lines. The process is really variable. You never know what it's going to be. With the eyes, frequently I do really large pupils, but in this one I started kind of small, relatively speaking. These eyes, albeit perhaps not naturally shaped, they're more normal than the last couple anime style drawings that I did. But it's a really gratifying process when you see your drawing become more realistic. And this part where you're just filling in the mid-tone colors is not really all that satisfying. You'll notice in this situation, I did not add any palettes off to the side. I just filled it in with colors and understood that these were going to be something that I could pick from later on and make darker versions or lighter versions or shade in some other method. And so here I go. In this process, the main goal is to be able to cover as much of the area that you need, fill in everything in the figure, in the character, and then to be able to adjust those looks. So I made this is one of my first times doing it. I think it's called a clipping mask. Yeah, see, you can tell I really am not used to working in any other medium other than pen, pencil, and paper. And so with that clipping mask, if that's what it's called, I think I got that correctly. You'll notice on the right, the layer box there, that window has these layers that are pointing down to the layer below it. So all those layers that are indented to the right will only be touching the layer underneath it. And so if I want to paint only on the skin, then I just do a little clipping mask for that. Yes, I noticed that my chin and the placement of the lips were just kind of all over the place, and because I had separated things on different layers, anytime I made an adjustment to it, it would need to be adjusted in another layer the exact same way, and then I was struggling with the shading again. But I separated most of the layers, adding layers on top of layers within this clipping mask method was really satisfying. Playing around with all these new brushes that I got for free all over the interwebs was really fun, really satisfying. Sometimes it worked out really, really well. The shape, the shape of the brush is an interesting thing. The shape definitely affects how I do it as a right-handed artist, and I still haven't figured out how to use all of it quite exactly correctly or in the best way. I'm sure there's a lot more for me to learn. I know there's something about the way a screen and tablet can change the angle of the shape, or even change the shape itself depending on how you're holding the pen. But yeah, anyway, so moving on, after my shading that I added, I went and added some layers for the highlights. I kept things really soft, even though she was drawn very with fairly hard lines. My decision to make the lighting hit her from this, I call it even closer to the center angle on her face is really difficult to get that lighting on the cheek. Oh, and here's me using Liquify, right? That's kind of popular to use Liquify. It's a very strange thing, and I ended up going back to it again at the end here to get this face looking the way I wanted it. So that's what it looked like. I mean, I made the dress a little bit more modest, and she's kind of revealing. She's maybe getting ready to go on a run. She's wearing these tights underneath her skirt, the sleeves on the shoulders, and this white shirt underneath. The interesting blouse, that whole combination turned out actually pretty cool looking, and I like how I shaded the whites in there, and the hair as well, and the highlights. But anyway, hope you liked it. Please subscribe. There will be more stuff like this coming in the future. Thank you.